Hello everyone, I'm Mike D'Angelo with That's Entertainment, and this is your retro review of Castlevania by Konami. The iconic games of yesteryear are oftentimes overshadowed these days by the newer and shinier titles that are releasing. Halo, Call of Duty, and God of War are doing their part in making sure nostalgia doesn't overtake them, though there are some series that have persistently held on despite their age. Franchises like Street Fighter, Mario, and Metal Gear are as much a part of gaming today as they ever were. Castlevania is as iconic as they get. It's a series with a storied premise that has come out on multiple systems and explored tons of different settings over the years. But it all started in one place. Was Konami just lucky enough to release their game at the right time, or did this vampire hunting saga truly have solid roots on which to build a lasting legacy? Every 100 years, Count Dracula's castle appears in Transylvania, and the monsters within terrorize the world and the hearts and minds of men. Those men that have been plagued by the grasp of evil perform a rite that resurrects the vampire lord and his castle along with him. Every time the Count is resurrected, he's said to grow stronger. You play as Simon Belmont, who in the year 1691 returns to the castle of the great vampire, knowing that it is his duty to put the evil scourge down. Against all odds, Simon will venture into the kingdom of the enemy and put his whip to some of the greatest evils known to man. In Castlevania, you take control of Simon, who is in possession of the legendary vampire killer whip. Fortunately, this is the same weapon that put Dracula down in the year 1576. Simon knows that he can use the whip to kill the foul creature again. Unfortunately, the whip has the magic power to only extend in a horizontal straight line, making attacks somewhat awkward. The design of the game is truly impressive, but the stunted, stiff controls end up giving Castlevania a very challenging experience. As you progress through the castle, you'll be able to find items that extend and empower the vampire killer, though nothing ever speeds it up. You'll always notice a slight delay between pressing the button to attack and seeing it deliver. The whip, while servicing as your main weapon, is not the only one you have access to. Axes, daggers, boomerang-like crosses, and holy water can all deal some extra damage to your foes. And if a particular section of the castle is giving you a hard time, you can use the stopwatch to freeze the enemies for a short while. As I previously mentioned, the gameplay is a little stiff, which is where most of the challenge comes from. Beyond the strange whip attack, Simon's movement is a little halted. He can't move and whip at the same time, though thankfully he's not as helpless while jumping. He is, however, a huge pushover. When any enemy strikes him with either a projectile attack or their own body, Simon goes flying backward. Depending on the stage, this can lead to an instant death. The game is most known for its Universal Studios lineup of villainous bosses. Beyond the giant bats and floating Medusa heads, you'll do battle with mummies, Frankenstein and Igor, and even the Grim Reaper, Death himself. Somehow Dracula ranks above them all, and stands before you as both host of the castle and ultimate baddie. But surviving the bosses is only part of the equation, since getting to them is a challenge all on its own. Despite the very early hardware that Castlevania found itself on, its art design team did a fantastic job of making every area feel alive and unique. Even in the stages where a night sky was the only backdrop, the foreground had so much character that you felt like you were experiencing Simon's quest with him. At a time when some graphics were a little lax, Castlevania's could be all the more appreciated. Duly so was the soundtrack. Every single one of the songs that the game presents to you is an instant stuck-in-your-head hum-along tune. Konami must have known what it had too, because the songs have found their way into the later games in the series time and time again. With over 30 titles under its belt, Castlevania is one of the most prolific game series out there, period. And with so many games to choose from, it's difficult to cover everything. We'll start with some of the most popular titles. Did you know that Symphony of the Night was not the first Metroidvania-style game in the series? And no, it wasn't Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, either. That trait actually goes to Vampire Killer, the Japanese and Europe-only game that was released for the MSX2 computer. Castlevania has also transcended mediums several times. Its original hero, Simon Belmont, was one of the heroes of Captain N, the Game Master, even though he appears drastically different in the show. Various toys have appeared over the years, and there was even talk of a film being released at some point, but it's been in development hell for a little while now. Though the original title in this storied franchise might not have aged as gracefully as some other games of the time, it has a charm that has not been lost over the years. While many gamers are sticklers for very fluid controls, Castlevania focused instead on a vulnerability that may be more lifelike than we realize. Even though the game was difficult and unforgiving, it was one of those experiences that made you feel like you earned your victory by the end. Perhaps that is the legacy of this grand series. Knowing that it is his duty to put Fuck.